Done with that. Now we're going to another crazy controversial situation, and this is something that I never thought would happen, or I never would have dreamt that this person would be caught up in this kind of issue. And I'm talking about none other than Don Jazzy, Don Baba, the CEO and head of Mavin Records, former CEO and top dog of Mohits, and co-captain of Mohits, but now CEO and head of Mavin. Sorry, but Crayon, a former artist, currently a former artist of Mavin Records, went on Twitter and had a full-on meltdown. He lashed out at Don Jazzy, insulting him, calling him his boy. He brought up so many things, targeting Don Jazzy and Mavin, stating the fact that Don Jazzy collected over 200 million and he didn't see anything out of it. He really went at Don Jazzy, saying so many things. And this thing is deeper than just Twitter ranting. Like, this feels like built up frustration. It feels like he's been like I said, it's been built up, it's been gathering in his mind, man. Because what he said is not something I would have ever expected anyone to ever say about Don Jazzy. Yeah, people have their issues, but for it to be filled with so much vitriol was really shocking to me, man. Like, he really went at Don Jazzy, claiming that Don Jazzy used his star on his head for whatever, which is, for those who don't know what that means like when someone does things that are beyond the norm, and makes use of your fortunes for theirs, or for whatever reason. So he made such claims that allegedly, these are claims Crayon has made on Twitter, and it's actually really crazy, because when you put into context his previous interview with a young lady, I forgot her name, I think it's Koye or something like that. Please don't quote me on that name, I'm not sure. But anyway, in that interview, he had brought up the fact that he had mental health crisis at some point, and he said basically that he had lost his mind at some point because he had not gotten any hits, and he would go and cry at Don Jazzy, and Don Jazzy would basically told him, "Yo, I know why I signed you." This was at that time. This was last year. This interview was last year. That he did this interview was last year actually, but it resurfaced. And I'm just bringing that in context. So he would go meet Don Jazzy and cry and all that, and Don Jazzy told me, "I know why I signed you, just calm down." And even at that, he still lost his mind. He, walked all the way to the front of Mavin's gate barefoot, and luckily no one videoed him, and Rema had to be involved. It was a whole thing. Luckily his friends prayed for him, and he bounced back from that, and that's when he knew that he had real friends in Rema, London, and so many other Mavin artists at the time that he was with. So after that happened, he bounced back and he had back-to-back hits. So my main point is basically this meltdown didn't start today, but this was last year, and after his hits, now we have this. And at this point, he's currently no longer signed to Mavin, and he brings out all this, sort of opinions on Don Jazzy now that he's no longer signed. So is it that he's no longer, the fact that he's no longer signed is making him bitter towards Don Jazzy, and also tying into the fact that he had lacked hits at some point, which caused him to have a mental breakdown, and eventually he surpassed that and got hits, but now he's been dropped. Now he's been dropped by Don Jazzy Mavin. So the question now is this actually just a mental breakdown, someone who is lashing out and being vindictive, or is he saying the truth? Because we're not in his shoes, we don't know what this guy experienced, right? And there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the entertainment industry that is actually weird. But then we also have to give credence to the fact that he had an interview a year ago where he actually brought up himself the fact that he had a proper mental breakdown. So is this just another mental breakdown, another situation that's going on, or is he actually real? Like I said, then I have a lot of people that are weighing in. Samklef, you know Samklef from the last episode I brought up, a veteran producer who's making claims to 6 masters from Whiskey's Starboy album. He came through saying that he dropped a lot of tweets, guys. He went ham, but I'll just summarize it. He was like, "Oh, Don Jazzy will soon cast. That a lot of artists from Mavin are not blowing up," which, to be fair, he's speaking that's factual, because in Mavin you only have Star and Rema that are notable acts out of Mavin. all the other acts, you know, they are relatable. They have a couple of singles, a couple of hits, but they are not consistent. So I think that's what he means by artists are not blowing up. He goes on to say that, this is allegedly, he goes on to say that they use their stars for 7 years, and then when they want to renew it, if you refuse, they then release you. You know, cause Samklef always comes with conspiracy energy, but sometimes there's a little bit of truth inside. You know, I'm not laughing at Crayon's case because it's actually something that is serious. Mental health is something that is very serious. But when you have people that are chiming in with their conspiracy theories, you know, it gives a little bit of comedic relief to the whole thing. Like I said, you know, he has conspiracy energy, and he's been saying a lot about the Nigerian industry and how it needs to be cleansed. Is that he's the one that's going to cleanse the Nigerian industry, and talking about how Don Jazzy was soon cast, and obviously relating it to his artist not blowing up, and saying a lot of other conspiracy theories, is really enlightening, but also hilarious. But seeing as he's been part of the music industry right from his genesis, you know, when he started growing properly, I'll give him a little bit of credence, which is why I say there might be a little bit of truth inside, you know. But then things like using people's stars for fame, we're in a world where the supernatural is real. I believe in God. I believe there are things that happen that you cannot explain or understand, and there are things that are divine. And just like you have things that are amazing that you can't explain that are divine, you have things on the evil side as well. A lot of people do a lot of things for money. Now, does that relate, or does that directly correlate to Mavin or anything? No, I'm not trying to say Mavin in any way is doing anything supernatural with or against the artist. No, I'm talking about what Samklef is saying when he's talking about people using stars. Like I said, I tried to explain earlier on when I was talking about Crayon's tweets. You know, when they talk about using stars, they're talking about the fact that they believe that certain individuals can make use of your fortunes or what's meant for you if you give them the chance to. It will be taken from you, and they will use that to push their own business. So that's what Samklef is trying to say about the whole stars thing. This is allegedly. This is not proven facts. This is not something that has been shown on TV that happens. But he's alleging this. You know, so it's really uncomfortable for me to see Don Jazzy go through this, first of all, because Don Jazzy is someone I really respect. He's someone who has curated, you know, like with all due respect to everyone else, Don Jazzy is one of the pioneers of afrobeats in Nigeria, in Africa. Mo Hits was a staple name, and bringing it to Mo Hits here, it kind of debunks what Samklef is saying about using stars or using their people's stars for anything, because every single Mo Hits artist had a hit, bro. I'm talking from the Banj to K-Switch, Wande Cole, the Prince, who again? Who am I missing? Don Jazzy himself was dropping his, like, yo, they even brought in Ikechukwu, and Ikechukwu was dropping hits, bro. Like, so I don't think this whole thing about Don Jazzy is using anybody. No, I like when you're talking about Mo Hits, like if he was using anybody, why didn't he use what's it called, them Wande Cole and them ones for Don Jazzy's growth, only for Don Jazzy's growth and no one else. You know, like that's why I said Samklef is all about, it has a lot of conspiracy, so there's a little bit of truth in it, but more is conspiracy, because if you go with actual facts, and the actual facts we have now are Don Jazzy's, you know, hits, his records, stuff, people he's worked with, and they have dropped hits. Even when Tiwa went to Mavin, she dropped hits. You know, so at the end of the day, I feel the hits up to the individual. Yes, supernatural things are at work, and I cannot deny that. The world has supernatural stuff that goes on, but there's still a thing called work ethic, and there's a thing called favor. I believe in God's favor and your work ethic. When that comes in, that's what people call luck. That's what I believe people call luck. But for me, I believe it's God's favor and work ethic. So once you have work ethic and God's favor, being consistent, then it's gonna come for you. So, yes, you know, it takes time for certain people. So I can't explain what's going on with Crayon, but I'm talking about based off the comments that were made. And when you have this same person that has been that comments are being alleged at, which has a proven track record that debunks these comments. It's hard for me to believe them. So I would look at Crayon's current tweets as probably an episode, a mental episode that he's having, and obviously seeing as he's no longer with Mavin, he's lashing out. But if you're actually going by facts and we look at what Don Jazzy has done, his track record, bro, like everybody, like I say, everybody in Mohis had a hit. Mohis was the biggest thing in out of Africa that period. So like, you know, I just find it a bit difficult to put a lot of credence to the comments that didn't tag at Don Jazzy. But anyway, to keep on going on this Crayon issue, Andrew Vibes, who is a producer for Mavin, you know, he's the Mavin camp, on a podcast, on an interview, he brought up a claim that Crayon wrote "Calm Down" for Rema. So that, like, and if this is true, that's crazy information, industry information. So for him to even say that, then you have Crayon out here spazzing out, you know, about the fact that 100 M's or over 100 M was sold on the Masters and he didn't get anything. Oh my God, Crayon has spazzed out though. Like, are you crazy? I wrote "Calm Down." "Calm Down" was Rema's first breakout hit, and he got on the Billboard, and that's the thing that Billboard ranked Rema on the top 25 most number ones ever. Afrobeats, like Afrobeats top 25 most one hit wonders top 25. Afrobeats one hit wonders top 25. Like most Afrobeats one hit wonder most ever top 25. I think, I'm not sure. But anyway, like, but that was Rema's. That was what took Rema to Billboard. And you're telling me that Crayon didn't get 1 naira? No, now that's legit spazzing out. If that's true, you know. But you know, aside that, every other thing there's no every other thing that's been said or alleged that Don Jazzy, I feel has no holds no weight. But based on this one that Andrew Vibes is saying, Andrew Vibes he's a producer for Mavin, in the Mavin camp. So if you're saying that, bro, like, then you know that, yo, this is probably true. So Crayon no more. We better sue Don Jazzy. Don't about that joke. That joke, you know. But anyway, if it's true, if it's actually true, jokes aside, if it's actually true, Crayon decided, and if it's actually true that Crayon wrote the song for "Calm Down" and he didn't get any sort of revenue for it, he deserves to sue Don Jazzy, because Don Baba, I rate you so much, but that's wrong. You can't be doing that. You are a big boy. OG, that's unnecessary for you. But then back to the thing again on the same Crayon issue. That's how Oga Samklef went to go and drop old tweets from Wandiko, when Wandiko was going at Don Jazzy, saying, "You're not God, you cannot stop me," you know. And he then also went to explain to artists that are reading his tweets that, yo, if you have the opportunity, leave these record labels, and using Wizkid leaving EME as an example. You know, Wizkid has always been someone who has been forward thinking. He's never been narrow minded. He's always been forward thinking and someone who's always had a plan. You can't go in, like, honestly, like, you can't, like, that's big news. You can't go into this music industry thing without having a plan. Get signed to a label, drop your hits, get yourself relevant enough to be able to renegotiate your deal or buy yourself out of your deal, you know, or finish all your albums, whatever you're owed, and then dip. That's what Wizkid did. And once Wizkid left EME, he went to Disturbing London with Tiny Temper, learned the music industry a bit more, learned about the music industry a bit more, drop hits, drop bangers. And then the funny thing is with Disturbing London, he only signed a distribution deal. He didn't sign a artist record label deal. And then that got him a deal with Sony, you know, and he just kept going. So Samklef bringing up Wizkid is a great example, but it's not as realistic, because people need to have these plans for themselves. Yes, I get what he's saying with, you know, make a name for yourself, break out, believe in yourself, and pray to God, and you'll be alright, which is true. God is the provider of all things, and all faith in Him, and you're good as long as you do the work. But at the same time, you need to have a plan. So him asking artists to telling artists to just go out on a limb, I feel it's a bit wrong. And this Samklef thing of, you know, bashing on Don Jazzy and saying he's got so much to say, you know, and also Recorder Banks, I think at some point had mentioned how he's going to talk about some big industry executive that messed with some artists, and Samklef was allegedly trying to tie that to Don Jazzy. You know, so I was looking at Samklef, like, I get this whole conspiracy thing, but mate, you need to be careful as well, because you know Don Baba, like you said, he has his bots, he also has a team of lawyers. So if you are speaking about things you have no proof towards or of, our advice is to just tone it down a bit, bro. Like, that's what I'll say, because this whole Crayon thing, as sad as it is, it comes across as someone who is having another mental issue, and unfortunately is lashing at someone who gave him an opportunity, and because of the way he feels at the moment now, he's gonna lash at the person who he feels should have given him way more. So yes, it comes across as a little bit of being entitled, you know, but at the same time, knowing his mental health situation that has happened previously, I would ask that, you know, fans give him a little bit of grace in this situation, because it's not easy being in the industry, and then when you feel like you're not doing enough, when there's so much more that you could do, or you feel you could have done, you know, and then when you lose the opportunity you had, you know, it brings the most bitter side out of basically most people, if not everybody. So yes, this is trending, and he's saying a lot about Don Jazzy, which, like I just spoke about, bringing up the Mohits and the crew. If you are going to bring that up, which is part of Don Jazzy's repertoire, then I'm sorry, Crayon's statements don't really hold any weight. Or rather, not that Crayon's statement don't hold any weight, Samklef's statement don't hold any weight, because Don Jazzy has proved it before that he's done it, and he's done it again. Some things sometimes are up to the artist. It can't be always up to the label. But then in the case of Crayon, as sad as everything that he has going on is, we can't take everything he's saying as facts, you know. And the whole 100 million naira payment that he's talking about that he never got anything out of, it would be unfortunate if he did not take care or do his due diligence in his contracts. It would have cost him, that may have cost him out of the 100 million naira payment that was done. At the end of the day, like I said, it's all about your contracts, what you sign with these people. Even though this person is giving you a great opportunity and everything that you might have never had before, please have a lawyer. Excuse me, I don't know if I just spat myself. It's so, I take this shit seriously. Like, please guys, make sure you have a lawyer, read through these contracts, and also try and think about the long term, because you have work that might pay out 200 million naira in the next few years, and because you signed a contract that doesn't allow you have the rights to wherever that payout go, like how that payout may have come together through your work, you lose out on it, and then you come and be lashing out. I don't know if that's what happened, but all I'm saying is, everyone, please do your due diligence. And if Crayon has done his due diligence and he actually did not get any payment, then definitely you should take Don Jazzy to court, and he's gonna make his money, you know. But that's that about Crayon and my 2 cents on it. I'll keep following the case, and we'll see if Don Jazzy drops any statements replying to all the allegations made against him from Crayon and Samklef. And you guys in the comment section, let me know what you think. Do you believe Crayon is saying the truth, or is this just another mental episode? And do you think Samklef should just stay out of it, or is he actually giving us facts of what's going on in the industry? And do you think he's saying facts about Don Jazzy as well? Please go in the comment section and let me know what you think about everything that's going on. So going on to the next topic,